Hello, this is Farhan Shakil from the Republic 2.0, and today we're going to talk about the AS level Edexcel Pure 1 paper, and the topic is completing the square from the quadratics. So first of all, we must know what the quadratics are. So whenever you're talking about the quadratics or a quadratic equation, it is such an equation having degree is equals to 2. Whenever you're talking about the quadratics, it is such an equation having a degree is equals to 2. Now, for example, you've got the next thingy, and that is completing the square. So to solve down the quadratic equations, everybody knows that we have got three different methods. One of them is by using the factorization. After factorization, we have got completing the squares. We've got completing the squares. And after completing the squares, we've got the quadratic formula. So we have got this formula as well. So we're just going to use these three different methods to get ourselves the final thingies. And in this video, we'll be talking about completing the square. To complete the square, you just need to know the simple formula. And that simple formula is that if you have got an expression which is in the form of x square plus bx, you can write it in a completing square form by just using the simple method, which is x plus b by 2 ka square negative b upon 2 square, right? So that is how we're going to solve. For example, now we can further write it down like x plus b by 2 square negative b square divided by 4. So that is how we can solve any quadratic equation or get the vertices of the, what do you call it, the stationary point or the turning point of a quadratic curve. And now, for example, let me do an example. And that example says that you've got x square plus 6x. You've got x square plus 6x. How can you solve it down? You can just simply write it down like x plus 6 by 2 ka square negative 6 by 2 ka square. And you would end up having x plus 3 square negative, 6 upon 2 is 3, and 3 square has to be 9. So that is how you can get the final answer as well. Now, for example, if you go to the Edexcel book over here, we've got these questions. And for example, let's try this question out, the C part of question number 2, which is 5x square plus 20x. How can we further solve it? You've got 5x square plus 20x, 5x square plus 20x. Remember that before writing an expression in a completing square form, you need to take something as common, and that is 5 over here. So if you're taking 5 as common, you'll be left out with x square plus 4x, right? And now you can do the completing the square thingy. So 5 times x plus 4 upon 2 square, negative 4 upon 2 square, and the bracket close. And now you would end up having 5 times x plus 2 ka square, negative 4 upon 2, yani 2 ka square is going to be 4. And now you would have 5x plus 2 ka square, and then you would be having 5 times 4, which is going to be negative 20. So that is how you can write any expression in the completing square form, but the condition is that the coefficient of x has to be 1. Now, for example, if I get back to the book to get any of these difficult problems, for example, I can see this question, this one, D part, which is 10 minus 16x negative 4x square. I just need to write it in this form, and P and Q and R are the constants to be found out. So I'm just going to write this expression in a completing square form. So let me just copy that question over here. And I've got that question which says, I've got 10 minus 16x negative 4x square. So the thing is that we need to write the term containing x square at the beginning of this equation. So I would be having negative 4x square, negative 16x plus 10. And now you can see that we just need to get the coefficient of x squared to be equal to 1. So I'm just going to take negative 4 as common from the first two terms. There is no need, I know there is x as common, but I'm not going to take that x as common. The reason is because that is a quadratic equation. I need to treat it like a quadratic equation. So I'm just going to take negative 4 as common, and I'll be left out with x square plus 4x plus 10. And I'll be left out with negative 4 bracket x plus 4 by 2 ka square negative 4 by 2 ka square plus 10. And now I'm just going to simplify it down. So I would be having negative 4 bracket mein x plus 2 ka square negative 2 ka square, and then I'll be having plus 10 over here. So now I would be having negative 4 times x plus 2 ka square, negative, negative, positive. 2 square is 4. 4 times 4 has to be 16 plus 10. And I would end up having negative 4 times x plus 2 ka square plus 26. So that is how we're going to write that expression in a completing square form. I hope that does make sense, right? Now, for example, getting back to the book to look for any other question, you can see that I've got 2x minus 8x squared plus 10. I'm going to do this question in the same fashion, but this question would involve a bit of fractions. So how are we going to do this question now? I'm just going to write this question down over here. And I've got 2x minus 8x squared plus 10. So first of all, I'm just going to write down negative 8x squared in the beginning, then plus 2x, and then plus 10. And that is going to be my equation. Now you can see that I need to make x square, I need to make the coefficient of x squared to be equal to 1. So what I'm really going to do, I'm just going to take negative 8 as common. But the thing is, we cannot take negative 8 as common because 2x do not have negative 8. So what I can do over here, I can just times 2x by negative 8 and divide it by negative 8 and then add 10 into it. So now I would be having negative 8 as common, and I'll be left out with x squared plus 2x times 1 upon negative 8 plus 10, right? And at the end of the day, I would be having negative 8 x squared negative 1 by 4 x plus 10. Now I'm going to do the same thing, negative 8, and I would end up having x negative. Because there is a negative, you have to use a negative. Negative 1 by 4 divided by 2 ka square, and then negative 1 by 4 divided by 2 ka square, bracket close, and then plus 10. And now I would be having negative 8 x minus 1 by 8 ka square minus minus plus 8 times 1 by 8 ka square, and then plus 10 as it is. So now I would be having negative 8 times x negative 1 by 8 ka square plus 8 times 1 upon 64 plus 10. So now I would be having negative 8 times x negative 1 by 8 ka square plus 1 by 8 plus 10. So now, I've got this thingy. I'm just going to write 1 by 8 plus 10 to get myself the final answer. So I would be having negative 8 x negative 1 by 8 ka square. And then over here, this is 1 by 8 plus 10. And that is going to be 8 times 10 is 80. 80 plus 1 has to be 81. So 81 divided by 8. So I would be having 81 divided by 8 as the final answer. So that is how we're gonna write an expression, write a quadratic expression into a completing square form, and then everybody knows how to further solve them out. Thank you very much. I'll come back with another video.